For more on the Lesotho elections, we are now joined on the line from Maseru by our correspondent, Nthakoana Ngatane. Nthakoana, thank you so much for joining us. Now, briefly take us through why we're here. Lesotho having another election on June the 3rd.
Good evening, Lulu. Just a reminder that there was a motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister in March, and that was preceded by his deputy leader in the party, Munyane Moleleki, breaking away and saying that he was going to form an alliance with the opposition or Lesotho Convention, which prompted the return from exile of Tom Thabane and two other opposition leaders. They then staged that motion and won it in Parliament. But constitutionally, that gives the Prime Minister then the power to advise the King to call for fresh elections, which he did, and the elections were then proclaimed 90 days, giving all parties to campaign and the Electoral Commission to prepare for these elections when the date was proclaimed to be the 3rd of June. So what we have seen since then is a lot of campaigning on the ground, of course, the IEC getting itself ready, ballot papers arriving, observers arriving, and we have just less than a week to the Saturday election. Lulu?
Now, Lesotho must be wishing for some major changes. What's topping the list currently?
The biggest thing for both political parties and observers, the international community and Lesotho at large, is probably reforming the country's constitution. Because regardless of which side of the political divide people are, they all realize that, first of all, the fact that when there was a motion of no confidence, that triggered the power of a prime minister who had lost support in parliament to go and advise the king. That means there's something wrong, so that loophole perhaps needs to be closed. But the government is also saying that the fact that people can go into parliament on a mandate and then cross the floor when they get there, perhaps is also flawed. And so the government feels justified to have called this election because the Prime Minister says if you're going to cross the floor in Parliament, you should go back to the electorate and get a fresh mandate. So the only flaw that will level the playing field in terms of both these takes on what should happen in terms of the Constitution is perhaps the reforms. Now, all the parties have agreed that post-election, regardless of who wins, they will implement the reforms. They will hold a public dialogue that includes everybody to ensure that Lesotho does not go back to where it is now. The head of the SADC Observer Mission, Minister Agustin Mahiga from Tanzania, saying that, in fact, if Lesotho had gone through those reforms, perhaps we would not be going to a third election in 3 years. And he sounded very agitated as he said that, because it sounds like SADC is fatigued. As much as he was saying the voters in Lesotho should be fatigued, it sounds like also SADC is fatigued to be dealing with elections in Lesotho from time to time. So top of that list is the reforms for Lesotho. But also, when you look at economic growth, when you look at unemployment, the economists that were talking to the politicians were saying that 57% of the population lives under the poverty line in Lesotho. 40% of the youth are unemployed. So if you look at those statistics, they tell you that even though there is a lot of development in mining, perhaps it is not trickling through to the very grassroots. So those are the two key things. So all the political parties, when they campaign, they talk about what it is that should be done as far as the economy is concerned. So regardless of what they say, but the main thing comes out to be the economy and the reforms for Lesotho. Lulu?
Now, do we have any indication as to who the front runners or some sort of idea with regards to figures, or what people are saying on the ground in terms of who they think will take the leadership in the country?
Well, it has to be a divided opinion on this one because everybody has their own interests. But I can tell you that the Lesotho Congress for Democracy and the Democratic Congress have gone into a pact with the people, with the Popular Front for Democracy, and they're saying that that pact, because we have a two-tiered parliamentary system that has 80 seats that come from winning constituencies and 40 that come from a compensatory proportional representation, the alliance of the Lesotho Congress for Democracy and the Democratic Congress are saying that out of that 120, they are gunning for 61 seats outright from the constituencies, meaning that and they want to get 61 seats from the constituencies before the proportional representation seats are allocated. Now, if they don't get those 61 seats, the risk that they have run is that because they have only each fielded one candidate per constituency out of the three parties, it means that perhaps they might lose out of the vote of either disgruntled voters or ones who didn't understand how the pact was supposed to work. So if they have run that risk and they have lost that vote, they will not get the compensation from the other 40. But this is a risk that we can only wait for the results to come out to see if it will pay off. On the side of the opposition, it is banking on the breakaway of the Prime Minister's party, the Alliance of Democrats, but also that because of the sympathy that Tom Thabane has built over this period when he was away, and the message that he's selling of reconciliation with Munyane Moleleki, they are saying that perhaps they have made inroads, and that alliance with the Basotho National Party and the Reform Congress of Lesotho may in fact take government. But of course, both sides will want you to believe that what they are selling or what they will come out with post the 3rd of June is a win. But we can only wait, because even if there are 1.2 million registered voters, the last time in the election we had 46% voter turnout. We are hoping this time around, because the IEC is running a campaign to increase that voter turnout to 85%, that maybe the numbers will be more. And that is another factor that may play itself out in terms of the outcome of the election. But now, all we can do right now is wait and see, Lulu.
Nthakoana, very quickly, in your opinion, were the elections, in your observation, was there free campaigning without any intimidation? Is it free so far as we speak?
In terms of people going where they want to go, when they want to go, I can say that it's free. But the opposition is currently complaining about the access that they have to state media. There is time allocated to parties, and that is going well. But the government is using the power that they have to broadcast other or their own rallies, either in the news, and the opposition is saying they have now gone to the Independent Electoral Commission to complain, and we wait for the Independent Electoral Commission to rule on that, whether in fact the time that the government parties are getting over and above the allocation of the IEC will in fact amount to them abusing the power that they have. But only until the IEC tribunal decides can we know if that in fact amounts to inequality in terms of the campaigning period. Lulu?
Nthakoana, thank you so much. We'll have to leave it there for now. That was SABC Lesotho's correspondent Nthakoana Ngatane joining us on the line.